This guy right here is Justin Mearsh, and he is the co-founder of 314 Arts, the developers of the upcoming Projekt Z, a game that I have covered on this channel numerous times in the past, and it's a first-person co-op zombie shooter with robust character progression and weapon customization. It's essentially, if you were to take COD Zombies and actually make an in-depth co-op survival game around it, and it looked really, really good. Now, the game on your screen is a new game announced by 314 Arts called Nightrunner, which mixes co-op horde survival with extraction mechanics, dungeon exploration, and tower defense systems. And apparently, it's inspired by the likes of Killing Floor, COD Zombies, and Escape from Tarkov. And apparently, you can request access to the ongoing playtest that's happening for the game right now. But the question I have and have been having for the past couple of years now is what the hell happened to Projekt Z? And in this video, I'm going to showcase to you one of the biggest mistakes that I can see indie developers making in this industry and why 314 Arts might have just fucked themselves. A couple of years ago, I want to say maybe last year, Projekt Z announced that they were getting into bed with Maximum Entertainment, a premier global entertainment company specializing in developing and publishing high-quality, long-lasting video game franchises. They collaborate with top-tier creators to deliver gaming experiences across all digital and physical platforms worldwide. And it was just announced that they laid off their entire US staff with zero severance. Back in April, Cathay Bank announced its plans to begin exercising its rights against Maximum Entertainment LLC, the US wing of Maximum Entertainment AB, after the company defaulted on its loans. According to the bank, the loan agreement includes an $8 million revolving line of credit and two $3 million term loans. Following the notice and failure to negotiate a settlement, Maximum Entertainment held a meeting on June 24th, and that's when employees were notified that the US wing of the company would be shut down and everyone would be let go as of July 1st. But where does this leave 314 Arts and subsequently Projekt Z? So this is where we insert the big fucking mistake that happened.
Many of you have seen the news that our publisher Maximum Entertainment LLC has collapsed, and here's the painful part. Projekt Z doesn't belong to us right now. Back when we were a small studio with our backs against the wall, fighting to keep the project and our team alive, ownership of the game was signed over to Maximum, and it was the hardest decision we have ever made. From that point on, Projekt Z slowly stopped being ours. Development was moved away from us, and the game drifted further and further away from the experience we set out to build with this community.
While I can understand why decisions like these can be made, this is one of the biggest mistakes that you can make as an indie developer, and I want you to listen very, very closely to what I'm about to say. If you are a developer and you are creating a game and you have an IP and a trademark and a game that you believe in and you fully back, under no circumstance should you ever, and I fucking mean ever, sell that IP to somebody else if you still wish to maintain control of the game itself. The fact that 314 Arts signed over the rights to Maximum Entertainment, I'm guessing in exchange for a development budget to then build out the rest of the game, is, in my opinion, it's fucking stupid. As we were developing Transients, we spoke to a multitude of different publishers, and the one thing that we always said going into every one of those conversations is we would retain full ownership of the IP no matter what. Any contract that we would ever sign through Resurgent would always have those stipulations, and we're not going to give up the IP that we put our blood, sweat, and tears to create. Regardless if people like it or don't, it's ownership of something tangible. And the fact that 314 Arts signed over those rights like that, it drives me up the fucking wall. Because reading between the lines to what Justin is saying here, Maximum Entertainment now has the rights to this IP that they took from somebody and a team who was very passionate about the game itself, why then would they make moves to pull the development away from the studio that was passionate enough to create this IP in the first place? Why would you do that? And the simple fact of the matter is most of these publishers are full of fucking idiots. Most of these publishers are full of people who aren't passionate about the game and the design itself. They're passionate about padding their wallets. They're probably offloading the developments to a much cheaper studio house to then drag the game's corpse across the finish line, sell it out off the goodwill of all of the community members, creators, and the developers in the community that they have built themselves. It's a fucking joke to me. But they signed the contract, so my disdain for publishers has to be pushed to the side for the fact that I actually can't fucking believe that 314 Arts, after all the years of covering this game and their journey from a group of small indie developers to, you know, I was proud. And then just to watch this happen pisses me off. It really does, because now we have this other game. This is called Nightrunner. I'm going to put the trailer on screen here. I don't know how this dealing works because they obviously needed money enough to work on Projekt Z, so they went to the publisher, they signed over the rights, they got the development budget for Projekt Z, but then also had the money enough to build what you guys are seeing on screen here, which in my opinion, visually, I know it's cinematic or rendered in engine, whatever. It looks really, really good. I'm curious what the game actually plays like, but like, this is a full functioning video game. It is a game where you can, according to them, dive into the next evolution of horde survival and PvE extraction. You start with nothing and you build up your Nightrunner. You take on dangerous jobs, you defend your train, you search for gear, and finish side missions in scavenging areas to prepare yourself for even more dangerous jobs. But I'll be honest, as much as this kind of looks cool, I was way more interested in Projekt Z. And listen, Justin is a part of this community. He's been a longtime viewer of the channel. I covered one of their first games that they ever created over 10 years ago now. And I gotta say, like, I'm not excited for this because I know what it takes in terms of the finances to be able to deliver games at this quality level. And the math isn't mathing to me, because if you needed the money to create Projekt Z, you went to the publisher, you were in a position, and like you said, your backs were against the wall and you signed the rights over, how are you then going to deliver on this game when you didn't have the finances to build the first one? They say that there are opportunities to get the Projekt Z license back to them, and I hope that that happens, but this is such a big blunder for them, and I know they're hurting and I know they're upset, and you know, now with the uncertainty of the US side of Maximum Entertainment falling, like, it's a mess. It's a fucking mess. And while I can understand being in that financial situation of, and look, dude, like I think back, you know, developing Transients, there were months where I was like, man, like, we're funding the shit out of pocket. It's tough. People don't actually realize how expensive it is to develop video games. They don't understand the financial toll it takes. If I'm going to go through all of this shit to then just sign the rights away to a company that doesn't give a shit about me, the trials, the tribulations, the blood, the sweat, and the care that I have for this game, why would you fucking do that? And you have this other game that you're making that I'm guessing is most likely going to fund being able to potentially get the rights back for Projekt Z. So now you're an indie studio that probably doesn't even have the resources to handle both projects at one time. It's a mess. And I'll be honest, I'm not confident that these guys can actually take on the task that's in front of them. Nightrunner might end up being a solid game. But for me to sit here and be like, man, they're making another game, I'm actually really excited. After hearing a couple days ago that you sold off the rights to your first game and it's been a blunder, not really excited for the future of this studio. I'm not going to dogpile because I know they're probably going through a lot, and I actually appreciate that they were transparent enough with their community when they could be. But man, let me tell you guys, there are a lot of publishers out here that don't genuinely give a shit about you at all, or your IP, or your game. They just want to be able to put themselves in the best position to make money. So if you can help it, please, for the love of God, do not sell your IP. Oh, IP ownership and trademark ownership is some of the most important shit that I can stress to any developer working in this space. Do not sell your IP and your trademark for a few hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to develop your game further, and just know that a lot of these publishers are snakes in grass. In the case of Maximum Entertainment, it might have been a good deal, but they shut down their US office without offering any of their employees severance. They didn't even give a warning. They're just done. That tells me that there's a few business decisions that have gone horribly wrong on their front. They're defaulting on a potentially $8 million rotating line of credit plus two $3 million term loans. That's insane. If you can help it, do not get into bed with terrible publishers. I understand that making games is expensive. There has to be other ways. There has to be better publishers. But the problem that indie developers are running into now is there are so many more games now. There's only so much money in this industry that can go around to all of these indie studios to be able to fund these developers, which gives the publishers the upper hand when they're negotiating, because they know that if they have your, in your own words, backs against the wall, they own you. And the moment you sell your IP away, you're fucked. So guys, if you want to check out Nightrunner, it's so funny. I genuinely don't give a fuck about the game. I hope it works out well for them. But I'm actually really upset that this worked out the way that it is. And I'm not saying they can't get their IP back, but man, I lost all confidence. So that's an update on Projekt Z. I'll see you on the next one.